Hello, grade 8 students, and welcome to a new English lesson. Our lesson today is Module 6D, Write and Speak, student book page 79. So kindly open your books and let's start our lesson. Let's have a look at today's objectives. By the end of this lesson, students will be able to write a food recipe correctly. Our starter today is very easy. All you have to do is to look at the pictures and try to guess the verb. So please pause the video and try to guess the verb, and when you finish, play the video again to check your answer. You have 3 minutes and you can start now. Welcome back, my dear students. Now let's check your answers. What is the verb in the first picture? Look at the first picture. What is the verb? Great. Melt the butter. Now let's move to the second picture. What is the verb? Good. Fry the eggs. Number 3. Cut the vegetables. Number 4. Mix them together. Number 5. Stir the sauce until it boils. Good. Pour. Next. Bake. The last picture. Roast. Good. Now let's move to the next slide. Before we start our lesson, let me ask you some questions from the previous lesson. Do you remember the food recipe you studied in the previous lesson? I think most of us will say, yes, I do. What was the recipe about? Do you remember? Great. Cheesecake. Now let me ask you one more question. What are the ingredients of the cheesecake recipe? Look at the pictures. The pictures may help you to remember. Good. Strawberries, biscuits, butter, cheese, eggs, finally, sugar. Now, let me ask you another question. What are the instructions for making cheesecake? Do you remember? Good. The first step is to break the biscuits into pieces, then melt the butter, add it to the biscuits and stir, press the biscuit mix into the cake tin, mix the cheese and sugar together, add the eggs and pour the mixture into the cake tin. Bake the cake for about an hour. Boil the fruit and sugar in a pan. When the cake's ready, add the topping and leave to cool. Great. Now let's complete these two sentences. The first one. A food recipe consists of space main sections. How many sections are there in a food recipe? Great. 2 main sections. Number 2. The 2 sections of a food recipe are, we have 2 sections in a food recipe. Number 1, ingredients. Great. Number 2, instructions. Amazing. Now please open your book, page 79, exercise 6, Write and Speak, part A. And let's read the instructions together. Imagine you are taking part in a charity bake sale and want to make something, for example, sandwiches, pizza, biscuits. Decide what you want to make and write down the recipe. Your recipe must be ingredients and the instructions. Make up a recipe which is both delicious and easy to make. Now, your job is to stop the video and write your answer in your notebook. You have 10 minutes, and when you finish, play the video again for a suggested answer. You can start now. Now I'm going to show you the recipe of making a very delicious dish, which is called Lukaimat recipe. Look at the two pictures and try to guess. What do you think we will use to make the lukaimat recipe? What are the ingredients, do you think? Yes, can you write them in your notebook? Yes, good. Let's have a look. Cardamom powder, flour, salt, dry yeast, cup of sugar, corn flour, lemon juice, warm water, saffron, and oil. Now let's have a look at the instructions. But before you look at the instructions or listen to them, can you guess what are the instructions? If you want to do so, please pause the video, write your instructions in your notebook, and when you finish, play the video again to check if you are right or wrong. Now let's have a look at the instructions. First, make the syrup. Boil the sugar, water, lemon juice, and saffron together in a saucepan. Stir until it becomes thick. This is the first step. The second step, for the batter, mix the flour, dry yeast, corn flour, warm water, oil, cardamom powder, and salt in a bowl and stir until it becomes smooth. Then, leave the batter for 1 hour to rise. Don't be in a hurry. You have to leave the batter for at least 1 hour. Then, take half tablespoon of the batter and make it into the shape of a ball. Good. Then carefully put it in the frying pan with the hot oil. Put about 5 balls in the frying pan at the same time. Fry the lukaimat until they get bigger and they turn golden brown. Don't be in a hurry. Wait for them until they turn golden brown. Turn them so that they are all golden brown all around. The last step, pour the syrup that you made first on top of the lukaimat. Now let's move to part B of the exercise. Talk in pairs. Share your recipe with your partner. Student A gives Student B all the information he or she needs to prepare the recipe. Student B listen to Student A's instructions and write the recipe. Ask for repetitions or clarifications when necessary. Now I'll be Student A and I'll give you the information you need to prepare the recipe. I'll give you here the recipe of making rice with milk. The ingredients, you can find the ingredients in that box, and the instructions here. I give you some verbs you can use to write the instructions. All you have to do is just to think and to write the recipe. Look at the information in front of you and take your time to write the recipe in your notebook, and when you finish, play the video again to check your answers. You have 7 minutes and you can start now. Now let's check your answers. But before I check your answers, I want to remind you of the steps of writing a food recipe. First, you have to write the name of the recipe. This is the first step. Then you have to write 2 main sections. The first section is the ingredients section. Great. The second section is wonderful, the instructions section. Now let's begin with the ingredients section. In the ingredients section of making rice with milk, we need 1000 milliliter of milk, 150 grams of sugar, 150 grams of rice, 1 stick of cinnamon powder, the peel of a lemon. These are the ingredients you will need to make rice with milk. Now let's move to the second part, which is instructions. Now let's have a look at the instructions of making rice with milk. Number 1, put the milk, cinnamon stick, and lemon peel into a saucepan. Number 2, boil the milk. Number 3, as soon as it has boiled, remove the cinnamon and the lemon. Number 4, add the rice and cook for 20 minutes. Add sugar and cook medium-high heat for 15 to 20 minutes. Serve on individual plates or in a deep plate. The last step is, when the dessert is cold, sprinkle with cinnamon powder. These are the 7 steps of making what? Do you remember? Good. Rice with milk. And as we said before, if you want to write any food recipe, we have to write 2 sections, 2 main sections. The first section is the ingredients section. The second section is the instructions section. Okay? So if you are asked to write any food recipe, you have to make sure that you write 2 sections, the ingredients section and the instructions sections. And in the instructions section, you write the instructions very simple and you write them in the correct order. Closure. Now we have 3 sentences in front of you. All you have to do is to try to read the sentences very carefully and read the 4 answers and try to choose the correct answer. You have 2 minutes to do the exercise. When you finish, please play the video again to check your answer. Welcome back, my dear students. Now let's check your answers. Number 1, I'm waiting for the waiter to bring me a space to eat my soup with. If you want to eat your soup, what do you need? Fork, knife, spoon, or a plate? What do you think? Great, you will need a spoon. Number 2, put the chicken in the baking tray, add potatoes, and then space it in the oven. What do you think? What do we do in the oven? We boil things, we fry things, we roast things, or we stir things. What do you think? Great, we roast things. The last sentence, I want to make an apple pie, but I'm not sure I have all the mixtures, ingredients, starters, recipes. What do you think? I'm not sure I have all the ingredients. Great, my dear students. That's the end of our lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching and goodbye.